My name is Ryan, and I'm 34 years old, a graphic designer living in Portland. I just moved into a new house, a cozy place that felt perfect for starting fresh. At first, everything seemed great. The neighborhood was quiet, and the house had a charm that drew me in. But not long after I settled in, I started noticing strange noises coming from the basement at night. I tried to dismiss it, telling myself it was just the house settling. Old houses make noises, right? But the sounds weren't the typical creaks and groans. They were more like shuffling footsteps, sometimes a faint rustling that made my skin crawl. What was it? Just the wind? Maybe? Or an animal? One evening, after a late-night work session, I returned home feeling exhausted. The house was silent, almost too silent. As I headed to the kitchen, I heard it again, the noise from the basement. But this time, it was different. It wasn't random or faint. It was deliberate, like someone was down there moving around. My heart started to race. Was someone in my house? Had I left a door unlocked? I grabbed a baseball bat from the hall closet, trying to calm my nerves. What would I find down there? Would it just be a raccoon? Or something worse? With each step I took toward the basement, the noise grew louder. I hesitated at the top of the stairs, the basement door slightly ajar, and my stomach churned with anxiety. I could feel the cold draft coming up from below. Did I really want to go down there? Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open and slowly descended the stairs. The basement was dimly lit, the single bowl casting eerie shadows on the walls. As I reached the bottom, I saw it, a makeshift bed in the corner, blankets strewn about, and scattered belongings. Someone had been living down here, right under my nose, for weeks. How had I not noticed? Who were they, and why were they here? I felt a wave of panic. My home, my safe space, had been violated. What should I do? Call the police? But just as I turned to leave, I heard a creak from above. My blood ran cold. Slowly, I looked up and saw him. A man standing at the top of the stairs, blocking my way out. He was holding a knife, his eyes locked on me with a look of cold determination. My mind raced. How had he gotten in? What did he want? I gripped the bat tighter, my thoughts a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Should I try to fight him? Run? How could I get out of this alive? The man didn't move, just stood there, his presence looming over me. The tension was unbearable, the silence suffocating. Every second felt like an eternity. I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't just stand there and wait for him to make the first move. With a surge of adrenaline, I lunged toward the stairs, swinging the bat with all my strength. The man dodged, and I stumbled past him, heart pounding in my ears. I didn't look back. I didn't stop running until I was out of the house, out into the cold night air, my chest heaving with fear and relief. I called the police, my hands trembling, barely able to speak. They arrived quickly, but by the time they searched the house, the intruder was gone, leaving behind only the eerie evidence of his presence. The police never found him, and the thought of that man living in my basement, watching me, knowing my every move, still haunts me. I moved out of that house the next day, too shaken to stay. I learned that sometimes the scariest things aren't the noises in the dark, but the realization that you're not as alone as you think. My name is Carter, and I'm 29 years old. I work as a carpenter in Boston, taking on renovation projects to pay the bills. I've seen my fair share of strange things in old houses, hidden compartments, forgotten belongings, even the occasional ghost story. But nothing prepared me for what I found in that basement. It started like any other job. I was hired to renovate an old house in one of Boston's quieter neighborhoods. The place had been on the market for a while, and I figured it was just another fixer-upper. The owner wanted the basement finished, so I got to work, stripping away old paneling and tearing down walls to open up the space. That's when I found it. Behind one of the walls, there was a small, hidden door, barely noticeable. Why would anyone wall up a door? Curiosity got the best of me, and I pried it open, not sure what to expect. What I found on the other side sent a chill down my spine. The room was dark, the air heavy with a stale, musty smell. I had to use my flashlight to see inside. The first thing I noticed were the shackles bolted to the floor. Rusted, old, and horrifyingly out of place. Then, I saw the mattresses, stained and dirty, tossed carelessly in the corner. But the worst part were the walls, covered in disturbing scribbles, chaotic lines that made no sense but radiated a sense of despair and madness. What was this room? Who had been kept here? The questions flooded my mind, but the answers seemed too dark to dwell on. I backed out of the room, my heart pounding, and immediately called the police. What else could I do? When they arrived, they treated the discovery seriously, taping off the area and asking me all sorts of questions. Had I seen anything like this before? Did I know who lived here? I didn't have answers, just more questions. One of the officers pulled me aside after they finished their inspection. He told me that the previous owner had been a suspect in a series of kidnappings years ago, but they had never found enough evidence to charge him. The man had moved away, and the house had been sold cheaply because of its dark history, but no one had mentioned this room. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had uncovered a part of something much darker. The idea that someone had been kept in that room, chained to the floor, living in those conditions, was something that stayed with me long after the police left. What kind of person could do that? Had those people ever been found? The renovation was put on hold, and I couldn't bring myself to go back into that basement. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the shackles, the stains, and those haunting scribbles on the walls. I tried to forget about it, to move on to the next job, but the memory clung to me like a shadow. I started having nightmares, visions of being trapped in that room, of hearing footsteps outside the door, of being unable to escape. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my heart racing, the darkness of my bedroom feeling suffocating. What had I uncovered? Was it better to have left that wall standing, to have never known what lay behind it? I still think about that room even now. The house was eventually sold again, and I heard the new owners planned to finish the renovation themselves. Part of me wanted to warn them, to tell them what I had found, but I couldn't bring myself to relive it. I just hope that room stays hidden. Some things are better left in the dark, where they can't hurt anyone anymore. But I can't help but wonder, what if there's more out there, waiting to be discovered? How many other houses hide secrets just like this one? I guess I'll never know, and maybe that's for the best. My name is Joshua, and I'm 31 years old, a software developer living in Denver. My friend Levi had been missing for several days, and the police had no leads. They told me to wait, to be patient, but how could I? Levi wasn't the type to just disappear. Something was wrong, and I knew it. After days of getting nowhere, I decided to search Levi's apartment myself. I knew it was risky, but what choice did I have? As I walked through his place, everything seemed normal, until I reached the basement. The door was slightly open, something Levi would never do. Why would he leave it that way? What was he doing down there? I took a deep breath and went down the stairs. The basement was dim, only a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw it, the broken chair lying on its side, bloodstains smeared across the floor, and Levi's phone smashed into pieces nearby. My heart started racing. What had happened here? Where was Levi? I tried to piece it together, but my mind was spinning. I could feel a panic rising in my chest. Should I call the police? Was it too late to help him? My hands shook as I dialed 911, the operator's voice barely registering over the sound of my own pounding heart. The police arrived quickly, sealing off the basement and searching for clues. One of the officers told me that Levi had been chatting with someone online, someone who wasn't who they seemed. Whoever it was had lured Levi into a trap, taken him away, leaving only the evidence of a brutal struggle. But why? What did they want with him? Levi was never found. The police said they'd keep looking, but I could tell they didn't have much hope. And neither did I. The image of that basement, of the broken chair and the bloodstains, haunts me every day. I can't stop thinking about Levi, about what he went through in those final moments before he was taken. What could I have done to prevent it? Why didn't I notice something was wrong sooner?